So this is the engine off that wood chipper. Well, technically this one is. So you can see here, we got a crack in that bearing surface, and we are very much scored up, lots of transfer. So I am not able to fix this, although it looks like you could probably mill out that center there and either slot or TIG weld a new one in. Just mill out the entire bearing surface essentially. Looks like there's enough material there, and just make sure your oil passages are intact, but I'm not set up to do that yet. So I'm going to save this one, and I'll use that as practice later. But I picked up this one here, and that's what it's supposed to look like. You had to get that old seal out. The only problem is they are both for gx-690. This one here has an oil sump or oil sensor or something like that. This one does not. So I think that's the only difference between the two. And I am going to grind out that bit there. It's aluminum, so it should go okay. Just don't want to mess up the sides. And then I'll take a Dremel tool and that's pretty thick. That's what we got so far. This is where I'm at so far. I have both cylinders cleaned, both pistons assemblies cleaned. I took the valves out, made sure there's no grime in any of the valve guides. Yeah, valve guides. Yeah, that's basically simple there. And then here, I've already started assembling. I popped in a new seal, crank seal. Feels way better now. This here used to wobble, and now it doesn't. So we have made progress. And then I put in a new seal underneath there and installed this. And then I greased that bearing in there because I'm not sure how much oil it gets. Not that it's super important, because I don't think it does a whole lot of moving, but I put grease in there anyways. Maybe when it gets hot it'll all drip out, but whatever. It's greased. And then new seal. So next step is to put in new valve guide seals, and then start to put in the valve springs. I can't remember all these names all the time. Anyways, you get the point. Reassemble the head. So here I have the valve stem through the valve guide with a spring and the keeper. It's just a bigger slot. You push it down and then you slot it across. Right there. I have the new valve guide seals in place. It's just a wire, that spring wire, and then it snaps into a groove. It doesn't really snap, it just holds it in place. You can see my valve in there. I put a little bit of assembly lube on each of the valve stems. Pretty thick stuff. It's kind of nice to work with. And then I just have these springs and guides to go. See, that's the bigger hole. So this goes right there, and then you're good. And then you can slide it out like that. Put those in, and then we're off to the next step. So I have the cylinder. I have the piston in the cylinder. You could use a ring compressor. Probably not a bad idea, but I only am planning on doing one of these that's this size, and don't want to make the extra hardware store trip. So just be careful, go slow. If it binds up, stop, reposition, but it doesn't take very much. Made sure I filled up my rings with oil before I did it, and then also try to get that wrist pin oiled. Doesn't hurt. Any extra oil is just gonna leak back down into the crankcase if you keep it on this side of the rings as much as possible, because hopefully you have a good seal. Same with this one here. And then I'm just gonna take these crank caps, rod caps, called something like that. They are matched. See, they're numbered. They're numbered, and then the crank will also be numbered. So this here only goes there. Because I have new bearings. In this one here, there's a little section here that doesn't seem the greatest. Maybe you can pick it up. So, I don't know. That feels smooth anyways. So I don't know if it's strictly necessary, but I think, from what I remember when taking apart this engine, I'm pretty sure someone's been in this engine before. So, who knows how many hours are on it. So decided I might as well replace that. So I'm just preparing to start putting the cylinders on. What have I done? I've put the cylinder spacers, whatever they're called, on the bottoms here. They don't have them on the top. I pulled them out of that block because this block did not come with any. I also, the oil passage galley, there's still a little bit of old Permatex there. I picked out the nicest seals of these. I did try order new ones, but they were back ordered, so I'm just reusing them. They're not super important. Well, they are important obviously, but it's not like it's a wear item so much. It's not like you can get an air leak or something silly, and it will be probably surrounded by Permatex. So, I figure it's fine. There is one more that's going to go here as well, but I think I have 7 total. No, I think I had 9 or 10. I should have 2, 4, 5 that are good. So, we'll go from there. Next step is to clean off these surfaces with brake clean. Get some Permatex on them, and then slide the cylinder in. Make sure the the oh boy, the crank is orientated the right way. This one here would be the wrong side, so this little divot has to be point out the PTO side. And then we also have all our brand new bearings to put in. And we'll make sure they're all nicely lubed up and all that. Actually, might be good just to take a look at one and see how they compared with the old ones. Let's do that right now. So on the left is the new one, on the right is the old one. I think I'm going to be happy that I'm replacing them. Not that it's super bad on the right, but you can clearly see the difference. The one on the left is so much smoother. And that's just one of the many. There's probably more out there that are in worse shape. But yeah, I'm glad I'm glad I decided to do that. So I have this cylinder on. I have RTV under there. I've also attached the rod and torqued down those cap nuts to 16 foot-pounds or 192 inch-pounds. I'm just prepping this rod for new bearing surfaces. I'll make sure I'll have lots of assembly lube on these surfaces, pop those bearings in. And then I shall brake clean this surface here. Then put a good layer of RTV on. Is that a void in the casting? Definitely feels like it. Oh well, RTV will fill that up. And then we pop this cylinder on. I'll torque down these cap nuts, or cap bolts, or I think they're called cap bolts. And then I'll probably torque down these guys, and then torque down these guys. You're supposed to wait an hour before you tighten it the rest of the way, but I've never done that with chainsaws. So I guess we'll have however many minutes it takes me to put this together yet. Well, oops. Apparently the guide I was following has me put in the piston rods the wrong way around. So I got to take this guy back off. Okay, got it fixed. It makes a whole lot more sense now. I was wondering why it was such a weird design first time around, but hey, wasn't too bad. Caught it soon enough. Got it torqued back down to 192 inch pounds. I just have the other one to attach, and then torque down the cylinder bolts, and that's the next step completed. Still using lots of this lubricant wherever I can. First Lucas product that I've used. People always rave about it, and well, I don't know any difference. I was going to get the Permatex stuff of this because I know Permatex, but this stuff was cheaper, and it is supposed to be good stuff, so I was like, sure, why not? I'll save a dollar or two. And the final torque. And just tighten them all up evenly. There we are. Well, that's very good to see. No problems turning. Should also, I did grind that out a little bit more round so that it would fit a bit better. This one didn't originally come with, I think it's oil, not oil pressure. I think it's oil level sensor. So it fits now, and we'll see. Think I missed a little bit there, but basically got the rear sump cover on, new seal in the back here. Not exactly sure if it's all going to work to plan because that interface is fairly tight, so not sure what's up with that. But I think we're just going to carry on because there's not a whole lot I can do. Basically, I had to lightly tap with a rubber mallet very carefully to get it to come on, and quite hard to take it off again, which seemed to be the same as with the original crank. So maybe it's fine, but I can't spin it over by hand. I can put a wrench on here. I can put a wrench here and oops, wrong way. I can put a wrench here, and with my hand there with low, I can turn it, but it's not, I wouldn't say it's easy. So I don't know if that's just because I need oil in this thing, or if there is actually a problem back here. I don't know at this point, so I'm just gonna have to carry on. So push rods are installed. I'm putting on the lifter, something like that. And then I'll have to adjust my valve gap later on. After that, I take the flywheel back off and put the charging coil under there, clean that up, and we'll go from there. So I've cut new intake gaskets. We have the fan on, we have the magnetos on, we have the coil or whatever it is under there. Just trying to fish the carburetor all through without having to take it apart. I'm just trying to get this crankcase vent or something like that through, and then trying to line things up. Normally you just unbolt the carb, put this on, bolt it back together, but I'm not interested in ripping gaskets, that sort of thing, if they're already together. I'm assuming the carb is going to be good, or I'm hoping so. So we'll go from there. Got it slid into place. I'll slide that guy in. We will pull these guys in. Where'd the other one go? Oh, bother. So at this point, carb is bolted down. I have the support for the fuel line in. Have the governor attached. Have the choke lever ready to get slotted in. What else? Still have to take these covers off and do my not points. Oh boy. Valve adjustment. There we go. This isn't a chainsaw. And then we'll go from there. Bolted on the starter. Still have to figure out where the other, I guess where the ground goes. But looks like we might have some electrical issues. We have a whole whack of loose wires. I don't know where they go. Some electrical tape. So we will see. Because don't feel super confident about that. I'm assuming this here bolts up there. But we should probably see if the plastics have to go on first. But all our cables are in place already. It's just two questions remain. Electrical, and is this rear bearing surface too tight? So I have almost everything bolted up except for the plastics. I just want to make sure I don't have to dive back in and have to take it completely apart. So we have our governor springs and throttle all hooked up. We also have our choke, a little stiff, but hooked up, and I have our negative on. I have our positive. Figured out the wiring for the rectifier, so that down there is ground. These two run to the magneto, and then this white one presumably goes to the key. So right now I need to get an oil filter and figure out if I have oil. And then we're at the point where we fill it up with oil and we plug it in and see if it will turn over. So we got an oil filter. It's Motomaster MPH 9688. So used on a vehicle anyways. A little bit bigger than the original, but it fits just fine. Lots of space, so I think we're good. Next step is just going to be to adjust the valve lash. We gotta get a wrench and we'll figure out what the feeler gauge setting is supposed to be, and we'll go from there. So this is where I'm at. We filled her up with oil. We attached a battery and nothing. Let's make sure we're still attached. Yep. Power meter shows nothing. We're in the on. Nothing. No life whatsoever. I've checked the fuse. The fuse is good. So trying to figure out what else it could be. So I got the starter back. I had it rebuilt. I could have gotten an Amazon junker for I think it was like 130 plus tax. So I ended up getting this for cheaper, getting it rebuilt for cheaper than that. Surprised they still actually rebuild them, but it was not a junk Amazon brand. We actually have some sort of name brand, Denso, and they had to replace this whole piece. I guess they were saying the previous person was, whoever had it before me had disassembled it and was missing a bunch of parts in the interior. USA. Okay, cool. Well, I'm going to bolt this on and then we're going to see if it will turn over. So, starter's attached. All our wires are back together. Vice grips on the battery terminals. Of course, that's a great idea. Let's see. No life. Why is that? We have plus to plus, negative to negative. That's frustrating. So, let's see if we can jump it. So we have life, but why? Why when we turn the key, we got nothing? Can't hear that either. So what's that all about? Okay, we'll try to figure that out now. Well, I got the key to turn on. We're showing 348.8 hours. The whole issue was I had this attached to negative, just like the previous people did. But this is actually the key on button. So this is attached straight to the positive. So I hate wiring issues, and I can't read a wiring diagram very easily. So yeah, took a little bit of going, we need power somehow. So it turns over now when you turn over the key. I already disconnected the battery, so I'd show you. But I'm going to mount it onto the wood chipper. And yeah. Break. And it worked, finally. We'll let it idle for a little bit. Hey.